So in the 1820s, this was built to a Telford design. It was a parliamentary church, one of many that was built at the time. But this one was slightly different in that it had a gallery in it, like many did, built for a population at the time of about 1,350 people in the area. But it was designed so that it could be reconfigured at a future date if the church population dropped, which it did. By the 1920s, the roof was lowered, the galleries were removed, and this wall was put in place to make this area smaller and create a meeting room at the back as well. The windows originally were arched at the front and the back of the building. They were taken out and timber frames replaced, and also these windows originally had like an arched feature in them, so they looked more fitting with the church, and they were all taken out as well. It was said in the community they saw it more as an act of vandalism at the time than of a renovation as such. A lot of people weren't happy with the changes that happened to the building. And you can see, although the roof was lowered, a lot of the original slate would have been continued to be used, and it's now leaking. You can see all the water coming in. So we have plans drawn up as part of the feasibility study, although it was a few years ago now, so they're likely to change when we move forward with the project. But the idea would be that this area here would still continue to be sort of the main room of the building, space for heritage displays, artefacts to be out so that public can come in and have a good look around. The pews will need to come out as part of that to create space, and they'll be replaced with chairs as needed to create a bigger area. The display boards will be in a way that they can be moved to the side, so should there be any big event on in the building, they can have lots of chairs laid out for funerals, weddings, any sort of big function, exhibitions, talks, whatever the community decide they want to have happen in here. We will also have still a meeting room area at the back. We will have a repurposed kitchen and bathroom area, and an area for storage of the Sooner archives and the Dulchas collection. Also hopefully a little study room of sorts so that people can come in and research their history of the area, and a little area for people to get a coffee as well while they're in here. So big changes, but we do hope to repurpose these. We don't want to get rid of them. They've sat here for 200 years now, so we'll find a use for them within the building somewhere too.
Could you explain to me that although it's not a church, it can still be used as a church, because that will reassure a lot of people?
Yeah. So in July of last year, the community company purchased the building from the Church of Scotland. The purpose of the building going forward will be that it will be, in the main, it will be a heritage centre to store the archives and be a place for people to come and learn about the local heritage, view all the artefacts that we have. But it will also remain available for any community group to use. So church services will continue in here if they wish. Funerals, weddings, christenings, for any denomination will still be able to happen in this building going forward.
And if it hadn't been bought, what was the risk that could have happened to it?
If the community company had not purchased the church when they did, it would have been sold on the open market. And although we have a graveyard around the building, it would have been sold. Somebody would have had it as an Airbnb or repurposed it for something else. The community would have lost the building. And we felt very, very strongly that as it's a Telford church, as it's been here for 200 years, it forms a huge part of the Sooner community heritage. We also have a lot of notable graves outside. We've got North Argyll, who was a quite well-known writer in the area. We've got war graves, and lots of family members of the community are laid to rest outside as well. So the late George Fox, he created the Sooner Archive over 50 years. He collected documents, photographs, stories, artefacts from all sorts of places, all relating to the history of Strontian and Sooner district in general. After George passed, Alistair McIntyre was made the keeper of the archives. So he was storing them, looking after them and trying to sort through them. Sadly, he also passed away coming up 2 years ago now. So Dulchas are looking for a home for the archive, somewhere that they can be safely stored, that they can be displayed so that people can actually come and learn from them. And also a plan is to digitalise them, where that would all be accessed here as well for the community and for any visitors coming to the area. We have a huge following from across the globe. We've recently made calendars which we sold, and we sold them in New Zealand and Canada, London, and we've got contact from people who have come to research their ancestors' graves in the area and seek information from the archive as well. We're having a little bit of work done. As you can see, it's in a really bad state.
Oh my word, yeah.
So we're just having immediate repairs to try and keep the water out at the moment. We think those repairs are probably going to be a bit more extensive than originally thought, because when the tiles are coming off, they're just disintegrating. So the plan is to make it watertight. You'll see inside that at the moment half of the pews are cordoned off because there's some ceiling tiles that are a bit unsafe. So they're going to be repaired as well, so that in the meantime the whole building can be used safely again. Part of what the Heritage Group are doing at the moment is we have been doing a graves project. So some of our volunteers have come in and they've used specialist cleaning products that's safe to use on gravestones, and they've cleaned all of the gravestones in here.
Wow.
They have managed to discover many of the stone markers which were kind of sunken down or covered in branches. They've cleared, you'll see at the sides, all the branches they've cleared away. And we've been taking a recording of all the gravestones because there is no documented list of the burials here. Back in the days when this churchyard was used, it was word of mouth. Families knew which part of the cemetery their relatives went into, and it was all just done through word of mouth. So we're creating a booklet listing all the graves. We've mapped them out, and that will be available online and in the building for people to come and search for ancestors. And we've also found some of the older markers, which we didn't realise when we first looked, actually have initials graved into them as well. So that's been really, really interesting. So yeah, some of the smaller markers we've discovered have got initials carved into them, which was a much older thing that was used when people didn't have money to put these big ornate headstones in place.
So do you know who that is?
That one on the other side. Yep, this one was in memory of Donald Cameron. Was 27 years, an elder of the Free Church of Strontian, which is interesting that he was buried here. Died at Annahilt, 15th of November 1883, aged 72 years, and his 4 children died young, erected by his loving wife Mary Cameron and their sons. Said Mary Cameron died in November 1895, aged 75 years. So we've got some really old burials in the area, and we've got photographs taken of them prior to the cleaning, and you'll see a huge difference. That's this one here.
Oh yeah.
Alexander Cameron.
North Argyll.
So Alexander Cameron, known under his pen name as North Argyll, he was known as Alistair Bunaldrechan. He stayed just before Reciple. There's a little house there, and that's where he grew up. He was a roadsman and a very, very good writer. He wrote a lot of papers in Gaelic, and he wrote for the Oban Times for many, many years. And he is laid to rest here as well. And we're currently in the process of working with the Rockfield Centre in Oban to get some documentation that was gifted to them by the family of Alistair Cameron. So the hope is that we'll be able to get some of that back to the Heritage Centre here as well.
Definitely Cameron country, aren't we?
It's Cameron MacIntyre country. So this big stone here, Duncan Cameron, he was the schoolmaster in the old school just down the road there. And he had a number of sons who fought in the war, and I think 2 or 3 of them are actually commemorated on the war memorial as well. And we have had contact from Duncan's relations who are down in London. They've been back and forth to us. We've sent them photos of the stone having been cleaned up, and they also have been in touch with us to purchase calendars and send to all their relatives. So it's been really interesting having that contact with them, and they hope to come and visit soon as well.